Lily, you're always a tough act to follow. I'll tell you. I can't even imagine being able to compare. Welcome, everybody. It's great to see you on this cooler day. Yay, celebrate, celebrate. I'm Debbie Skirdo, member of the board that's going to share some of the wonderful announcements today. I'm hoping you're all reading your community connections that we send out in email form on Thursdays. If you aren't receiving those, you can see Jerry at the visitor station and she can put your email down to be added, because then you get everything right on time on Thursdays. And welcome to our Zoom folks. I think that's the camera I'm supposed to see. And today, after service, you may have seen as you came in, we're going to have special birthday cake for George Yenoki's birthday. So he's very excited. And Sophie's excited, even though I don't think she gets too much of it. And that's going to be delicious. We're also, after service today, having our second community team meeting, which if you're interested, we'd surely love you to come and join us and see what kind of place you have in that team. And then we also have on Tuesday, we have the Taco Tuesday back on this Tuesday at 7 p.m. online. There will be a link coming out. And next Sunday, which is the 22nd, will be the Mabon service. Is that saying right? Mabon? Mabon service led by our CUPS group. And you'll see a wonderful article that Jeannie Coates wrote for us in the connections that you can read about, getting a little more information. Also, the Justice team will be having another meeting that same day, the 22nd, in the Founders Room. Okay? On Wednesday, something special, on Wednesday the 25th of September, and it's coming soon, from 5 to 6 p.m., we are going to be hosting here in the sanctuary the first meeting, public meeting of the affordable housing, and it's sponsored by, who's the group that's coming?
Housing Claremont.
Housing Claremont, that's what I didn't put in my notes. And so they'll be presenting, and we'll get some more information about what we might want to use with our task force that has already started also. So that's Wednesday the 25th, 5 to 6 p.m. Then on the 28th, Saturday the 28th, and Sunday the 29th, we're having the UU Climate Justice Revival workshops on Saturday, and special service put on Sunday. And there's a special announcement here from Ann Taves. I can read it to you, but I think you're probably just as good at doing that for yourself. It's also it's important just to see what we'll be doing. There are workshops on Saturday you can join, and what is it called? We have something to sign up with. I can't even think what the name of it is. I didn't get a lot of sleep. I have 2 new puppies. So the last 2 nights, I think I didn't sleep well at all, but they're really cute. They're worth it. It's just, I'm not as young as I was the last time I welcomed puppies. So bear with me if I mess up here. So this is the announcement. Please read it, please understand, and please sign up. There's an application, that's what it is. There's an application form online to fill out, okay? Then on Saturday, October 5th, it's going to be fun because people are forming a team. Where the Justice team, the Green Sanctuary team, they're all working together to have a team to walk for the Inland Valley Hope Walk for the Hungry and Homeless. And it's all on the campuses at Claremont Colleges. Starts at 9 in the morning. They're trying to wear shirts. You don't have to wear the same shirt. They're bright yellow, and they're Standing with Love. That's from the UU catalog. That there's a link in the connections. Again, see, you want those connections because they really have everything. And Laura Mulroy and Janine Little are going to be kind of sponsoring that. You can ask questions of them. And on October 6th, we're having the service of Blessing of the Animals. So that's going to be pretty exciting because my 2 guys are very exciting. They're little, they're not super little, they're Aussie doodles, and they want to come. If they're ready, they're going to be coming. And also on Sunday, October 20th, this is really important, folks. we need 50% of our membership to come and vote, and out of that vote, we need 70% approval to amend a couple of bylaws, not huge issues, but we need those amended so we can go forward with our team structure implementation more successfully. October 20th, after church, as a member, that's your right and responsibility to vote, and we just need you for a little bit. We're not going to have, it's not going to be a long thing, and we really appreciate it. You also can vote online, so if you're Zooming that service, you can also vote that way too. Okay, so those are your announcements. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful service. Now I will introduce Reverend Maggie Yenoki.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam President. Get used to saying that to a woman. I didn't say that. Is that on the recording? We open our service with the ringing of the bowl. We ring it 3 times. Once for those who have come before. We honor our ancestors. Once for those of us here and now. And once for those who will come. Beautiful, thank you. Thank you, so lovely. We light our chalice at the opening of our gatherings to celebrate and participate in a long-standing tradition of our faith, and to illuminate the spiritual presence above, below, and within us, to draw our hearts near as we bless our time together. And as Jack and Janine light our chalice, I invite you to hear the words of Ganga White. What if our religion was each other? If our practice was our life? If prayer our words? What if the temple was earth? If forests were our church? If holy water, the rivers, lakes, and ocean? What if meditation was our relationships? If the teacher was life? If wisdom was self-knowledge? And if love was the center of our being? May it be so. I invite everyone to stand as we sing our invocation and invite that spirit of life to come and join us, and then we will read our covenant together. 2 verses, first English and then Spanish. and our congregational covenant we recite together. We affirm that love is the greatest purpose of this congregation. The search for truth is our constant star, and service is our prayer. We pledge our hearts, minds, and hands to challenge injustice with courage, to make choices for a healthier planet, and to live out our Unitarian, Universalist values every day as beloved community. Thus do we covenant with each other and with all that is sacred in life. Please make yourselves comfortable. It is time for our wisdom tale, and we have our Director of Lifespan Religious Exploration, Robert Tidwell.
Good morning, everybody. Today's story is called Love's Pronoun is Plural, and it's by Reverend Elia Kemmler. My son Caleb and I went to Starbucks on a recent Saturday morning. We often do this as a prelude to the weekly grocery shopping. It sweetens the deal, which is important, as he is about to be 14 and on the autism spectrum. Both of these factors contribute to his resistance to what in the autism world we call non-preferred activities. Caleb is really tall for his age. He's 6'4" and still growing. This is a factor because he is big and often gets in people's way without realizing. Caleb was standing by the counter waiting for his Frappuccino decaf, we don't want to stunt his growth, and blocking the path of a young dad trying to herd 3 small children. The dad said to Caleb, "Could you get your head out of the clouds and get out of the way?" It was not horrible, just frustrated and a little unkind. Something a person says when they think other people's kids are being rude. Something a person says when they haven't learned there are disabilities you can't immediately see. Fortunately, Caleb remained oblivious, but I walked over to the dad and said to him quietly, "He is on the autism spectrum. He doesn't know where his body is in space or when he's in someone's way." I did not add, though I wanted to, "You may not realize this yet, but I promise you that someday your children will also need the kindness of strangers." Soon it will be Caleb's decision whether or not to explain himself, but as he gets older and bigger and bigger and bigger, my fear gets bigger too. I fear he will be met with more judgment and less understanding. He is so easily hurt. I fear the meanness. The dad nodded. He did not say anything, but I thought maybe he took it in. We ended up sitting at the counter next to another young dad and his daughter. That dad told Caleb in great detail about the Clover coffee machine they now have at Starbucks and how it works and why the coffee makes it better. They talked about pistons and forced hot water for a long time. "Thank you," I told him when Caleb got up to go to the bathroom. "My son is on the autism spectrum too," he said. We smiled at each other, and I remembered again that we are never alone, even when fear tells us we are. I remember again that I choose to trust in kindness. I choose to believe that my child will not be alone either. Our time together at Starbucks reminded me of these words by Reverend Kathleen McTeague. Fear's pronoun is singular. It says, "I've got to watch out for me and mine." Love's pronoun is plural. Love says we are in this together, and together we can grow things that will blossom even in time of drought. Let's always remember that love's pronoun is plural. We are in this together, and we will not be left alone. And now if the kids present can come up and get our cellos, we can go to our classroom. You guys can sing us out.
Have a great time, everyone. Hey, nice tiara, Brooklyn. We love that. Yay. No. Sorry. Steve. My apologies. Technology is wonderful. Being human is the hard thing. In this spiritual home, we have a long tradition of gathering and offering as a part of our weekly worship. And when we do, we embrace a ritual that explores the ways that bringing what we have to offer can be spiritually symbolic for all of us. It is a time for reflecting on the gifts we bring and how they are essential to our spiritual well-being and to the financial well-being of our community. Here at Monte Vista Unitarian Universalist congregation, we choose to share 50% of the offerings that we gather that are not earmarked as pledges with a charity that aligns with our values and serves our Montclair community. Each charity is pre-selected by our justice team and approved by the board. And for the month of September, we share our plate to support the good work of Inland Valley Hope Partners. Each week throughout the year, we invite you to bring your offerings of non-perishable food and grooming supplies that are delivered to their Beta Center to serve those in need. During the month of September, we will enhance our customary gifts to them with the added financial support as we share our plate with them as well. And it is with grateful appreciation for every gift that we have, for our shared hopes and values, and that all of our generous offerings that will now be given and received. So I invite you to come forward with your generous offerings, offered in a spirit of grateful fellowship. Sharing our joys and concerns is something that this congregation has always had as a part of their Sunday service, although it's had many different manifestations, let's say, over the years. We do have these yellow cards for those who are visiting for the first time. We have a spot for you to write down something that you'd like to share with the congregation. And I do have 3 here before I share the ones that I wrote in preparation for today. Boy, joy and concern. They're both here in my hand. Jill Rigel has a great joy. Says, my sister Faith is visiting. Here, us. She's visiting us. Yay. Welcome, Faith. It's great to have you here. Carissa Moore writes, fingers crossed that Dad's MRI today shows good news so that he can come join us next weekend for Donovan's 7th birthday party on September 23rd. 7? What is going on? How does that happen? And one from Betsy. Betsy asks us to please be thinking of her sister Lauren, who is just 58 years old. And she is dying. Yeah, she's in hospice care at home now. So we hold Lauren and all of those who love her. Yeah. Everybody blow out. The bridge fire has our members evacuated from Wrightwood and put on set in San Antonio Heights. If we listen, we can hear the cries of the wildlife and the trees in the path of the flames. The line fire is threatening our Camp de Benneville Pines near Angeles Oaks, and they have had to close and evacuate for the 2nd time in 3 years. We are grateful for the change in the weather conditions that are helping to slow the spread of the fire and allowing the firefighters to increase its containment. Jack and Janine Little are here with us from their hotel room because they are evacuated from their home. And the fire came very, very close to their home, but they believe everything is well, and maybe by Wednesday, you guys think you'll be able to go home. Yeah. May today be a blessing for you as we hold you in our hearts. Okay. So, Jaryus, if you have that photo, there's a bit of whiplash, because at the same time in Alta Loma, beneath the haze of the smoky skies, Mark Moninger was supporting liberal politics and hosted Jane Fonda at his poolside. I asked him on Facebook if he invited her to church, but I don't see them. So. Joy and woe are woven fine, as William Blake professes, and our souls agree. It is right, it should be so. Man was made for joy and woe. And when this we rightly know, through the world we safely go. Joy and woe are woven fine, a clothing for the soul divine. Under every grief and pine runs a joy with silken twine. In times like these, I feel like I say that a lot, but this is really hard. Hard times right now. It is so important that when we can, and there's Murray recovering from his surgery. Thank you for being here today. Sorry I'm embarrassing you, but blessings on your healing. It is so important to rest our nervous systems. To just, sometimes we think, let's rest our mind, let's breathe deep and feel our lungs, feel our arms relax, but think about our nervous systems and how they're like this. How we do that is different for each of us. How we best do it, of course. But there are ways to sit comfortably in your chair. Let's do that. We all exhaled together. That felt good. Like squeezing out that last bit of toothpaste out of the tube. It's hard stuff. There's a blessing from Tibet that I hope falls on you well and allows your nervous system to say, ah. Please take the time to take care of yourselves. May you be at peace. May your heart remain open. May you awaken to the light of your own true nature. May you be healed. May you be a source of healing for all beings. Let's remain seated as we sing our gentle song. It's number 1058 in our teal hymnal, Be Ours a Religion. Our reading today is titled The Most Important Thing, and it's written by Julia Fahrenbacher, but it will be read for us by Laura Mulroy.
I am making a home inside myself, a shelter of kindness where everything is forgiven, everything allowed, a quiet patch of sunlight to stretch out without hurry, where all that has been banished and buried is welcomed, spoken, listened to, released. A fiercely friendly place I can claim as my very own. I'm throwing my arms open to the whole of myself, especially the fearful, fault-finding, falling apart, unfinished parts, knowing every seed and weed, every drop of rain has made the soil richer. I will light a candle, pour a hot cup of tea, gather around the warmth of my own blazing fire. I will howl if I want to, knowing this flame can burn through any perceived problem, any prescribed perfectionism, any lying limitation, every heavy thing. I am making a home inside myself where grace blooms in grand and glorious abundance, a shelter of kindness that grows all the truest things. I whisper hallelujah to the friendly sky. Watch now as I burst into blossom.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for all you work on and learn together and share. We love having you here. Yeah. It was just last Sunday, September 8th, as we gathered here under record temperatures that had been scorching all living things for about a week. We shared with one another our heartache for our beloved planet, as no one could have ever remembered enduring any kind of heat like this in our childhoods or in the stories of our family histories. We each held each other close as we shared our concern for those nearby when the 3-day-old line fire above Redlands began to spread and evacuations in Highland became necessary. With all of the fullness in our lives and the richness of our shared experiences and community, it is a tender question that we ask one another when we say, what might be next? But now we know not to ask that very loud. Because while we were closing up after our gathering on Sunday, we were unaware that the bridge fire was just sparking in the San Gabriel Canyon above Glendora and would quickly grow to the 52,000 acre size that it has now reached. And as of yesterday, it is California's largest active fire. By Tuesday afternoon, it had evacuated our beloved member families in Wrightwood. Jack and Janine, the Tants, and kept Bob and Megan on alert with their vehicles packed, ready to leave their beautiful home without any promises. They were ready to set with a path out whenever the word would come to go. Ready, set, go. As Alice Walker's book of poetry, published in 2010, claims for us, hard times require furious dancing. So it is time, friends, to cut some serious carpet. And at the same time, while the hard things roll toward us, we see all of the ways that so many of us are stepping up to become a kinder, safer shelter for ourselves, for one another, and for the whole world as one. One of the poems in Walker's first chapter is titled Our Earth, and it has 3 stanzas. One earth, one people, one love. One earth, one people, one love. One earth, one people, one love. A beautiful, poetic truth we can adopt as a mantra for our lives. Our last prayer at the end of a hard day and the first thought as a new day opens. Let's say it together. one earth, one people, one love. And so may it be. Because it feels as if we've had enough of the harm that comes from separation mentality. And we have had enough wounding from supremacy and misogyny and patriarchy. And we've had enough of the exhaustive search for safety and kindness. What if instead we became a shelter of kindness in our own hearts, in our homes, in this community? Our vulnerable lives need that. And if there is anything that makes us vulnerable, it's when we're watching a raging fire that is out of control, moving closer to a nearby city, or our camp, or our friend's home. It might make you cry if you let it, and that's okay with me. It's okay to cry here. And it is not time to suck it up and be strong. It is time to be vulnerable and to care. To become a kind shelter in a time of unprecedented experiences. There's a time to find strength and a time to let all of that go. A time to inhale whatever energy you can, and a time to exhale all expectation. Let's do that again. Blech. Time to try harder. And a time to admit that you need a break. Solar and lunar. Pushing and releasing. Systolic and diastolic. All at work around us, making us vulnerable. It's part of who we are growing to become as we keep up with the way life is stretching us and as we become more wholesome humans. And our wholesomeness includes, and in fact is dependent upon, every need within our vulnerabilities. So do you need extra sleep? Debbie? Hands up. Yeah. Or do you need a walk in the trees? Do you need a hug? Do you need to hear someone say, I love you? Or both? Or all of that? I want all those things. And our vulnerability tells us there is no need right now to dig down deep for our last bit of gumption or to push ourselves to be more sufficient than we've been, because sufficiency isn't asking more of us now. You have everything it takes, and you've had it all along. You've had all you needed to come through so much over these past years. And let's just set a random marker at the presidential election in 2016. And we've been shaped by so many experiences since then. We don't need to become more self-sufficient, but our wholesomeness depends on our tender, kind capacity to be vulnerable, even if only with ourselves. To be self-aware enough to know when we need to be sheltered in kindness. To be wholesome, we must remain truthful to the complexity of that vulnerability, and to seek kind shelter and become kind shelter as harder times roll in. For the times will come to pass that your good heart will not be taken care of in the ways that you need it to be. And your kind soul will not always be understood and kept well by others. And your kindnesses will be twisted into stories in which you are the villain. And the times will once again hurt this good heart of yours. So let's be certain to be good at sensing our need for the shelter of kindness and to know where you can get it. So whether we create it for ourselves or find it among our dearest companions, may it always and ever be true that we can be that for one another here. and for those who might find their way to our door. Perhaps you can remember a time when the kindness you needed was not offered to you, or someone you knew came to you to find the shelter they needed after being harmed by rejection or judgment from another. We come from a place of kind shelter when we know our own need for it. And if we're not tending to our vulnerabilities and taking care to be aware of our own times of need, we can find ourselves in a place of overwhelm and discouragement. I knew my need for it when my family suffered the death of my brother in 2016. He had struggled with mental illness for many years after bipolar disorder manifested from abuse that he suffered as a child that was never spoken of and never tended to. And after several years of trying his best to live well, my brother chose to die by suicide. There were 3 thresholds that complicated our grief in his death. And each year, as September brings Suicide Prevention Month to our attention, there is an urgency to speak not only of prevention, but also the very deep love and grief for those who have chosen to die. Rather than the complicated shame that so often accompanies the lives of surviving family members, there is instead a call to shift our way of grieving those who have suicided and make a way in our culture to honor and remember them with kindness and respect and without shame or disregard. There is much we can all still learn about suicide and change our sense of humiliation to embrace a loving respect as we shift from cultural norms that no longer serve us. It makes me pause to reflect on the 3 thresholds of complication I mentioned and see how already in our culture there are shifts toward becoming more aware of ways to help others with them. Sexual abuse by his Pop Warner football coach. Mental illness diagnosed as an adult many decades later. And suicide. Suicide that has created a theological nightmare for our dad. And after my brother's suicide, I also became deeply aware of the shame that comes to the surviving family members through common language that we use without any conscious awareness of the impact of our words. One shift in language that would go a long way toward healing would be to eliminate the use of the word committed before we speak of a suicide. Suicide is no longer considered a criminal act in the United States, although it is in some places of the world. But our use of the word commit implies that suicide is a crime or a sin, as my dad still believes. One commits adultery or commits murder. And using neutral phrasing, more like they died by suicide, or they suicided, or they chose to die, helps to soften that shame and blame that makes one's grief so much more painful. And yes, I do catch myself saying it myself now and then, but with a quick apology to my brother, I rephrase my words and create a time of learning and respect from an awkward habit. We have so much to learn about suicide and how best to prevent it, if we can. That's a whole nother question. When our loved ones choose to die. I know some of my stories about my brother will continue to find their way here at other gatherings, but I also know that many of us here have other suicide love stories to tell. And today we're blessed to hear the love stories from Letha Comstock. And then we'll have a ritual. Thank you. Letha?
Hi. Before I start, I want to thank Lily for her offertory song. She doesn't know this. This is my interpretation of the song, the confusion. That's my life inside. Life hasn't always been easy. The calmness is my facade. It's my way of coping. And with that, thank you, Lily. I'm a mom of 6 kids for a living. Early in the morning on May 20th, 2021, my oldest son, Jamie, called to tell me his younger brother, Jared, had died from a self-inflicted gunshot suicide. My heart shattered. Jared had difficulties in his life, but was loving, soft-hearted, and wanted so much to do better. My mind tells me life got too hard for his gentle heart. At 39 years old, he chose to leave. My heart didn't want to let him go. Still doesn't. But as difficult as it is for me, his mom, I know I need to honor him and love this tow-headed, 6'3", gentle soul brought into my life. And his full name was Jared Andrew Gibson. Thank you.
Letha and I have created a ritual for everyone to participate in, whether you have been touched by suicide in your private lives, and I know many of us have. We invite you to come forward. We have 5 different bins, sand bins, ready to stand up your candle, and you can choose the color of your candle. I would light the first one in honor of Andrew. And after you light your candle, at the end of the table, there's a bowl there with teeny little hearts that are carved from rose quartz, which is the stone that holds the energy of unconditional love. So I invite you to come, if you wish, light a candle for someone you know or for any reason. And please take a heart home with you. All right. That's beautiful. Thank you all. The combination of the colors and the placement just says a lot. Thank you all. Thank you all for your participation, and blessings to you and for each person we brought to mind today. I don't know that we'll ever be able to prevent anyone's suicide, and dare we say that we can't take that. Although it's always our wish, it's always our hope, but it's so often our greatest burden is to wonder, what more could we have done? So, forgiveness for ourselves. And when anyone who's creating a worship service creates a ritual such as this, and you don't realize what the outcome or the feel of the energy is after, and you've already chosen the closing song. I wonder, Lily, if you would be an artistic genius as you are. Can we start this out a little slower and more prayerful and then build it back? We're going to sing Lean on Me.
Has been discussed already.
Ah, beautiful. Yeah, I don't want to ask everyone to just stand. Let's sing Lean on Me. No, we'll follow Lily's lead on this, and I'm sure it'll be beautiful. So I invite you to stand as you're comfortable and able, and as you choose. Thank you, Lily. Choir, beautiful, beautiful. Let's read our unison benediction together. Somehow that's an important, timely call there. We leave this gathered community, taking with us our connection, our sense of belonging. In this hour, we have inspired our hearts, our faith, and our care for the world. Until we gather again, let's be strong, be well, and be kind. Please be seated and enjoy the postlude.